I was treated as a canary for 10 years. He never promised me a wedding until I died. When I opened my eyes again, I was back to 10 years ago. To avoid the nightmare from happening again, the first thing I did after my rebirth was to find his future nemesis. The other party was still a mechanic at that time and was very poor. I slapped my bank card on the table and said, "Marry me. I'll give you all my salary after we get married." The other party gritted his teeth and said, "If you want a monthly salary of 3,000, I'll agree." Hello, everyone. Welcome to my channel. Subscribe us to read wonderful novels every day. Now the story begins. I proposed to Hugh. At this time, the man had a cigarette in his mouth. "What do you like about me?" I thought for a long time and finally said, "Is he handsome?" Oh, the sneer made my face turn red. So I boldly asked, "So do you agree?" Hugh said nothing, staring at me. It was as if he had seen through my little plan. I gritted my teeth and looked back, hoping he could see my sincerity. After a long time, he smiled. He replied nonchalantly, "Why don't you accept a wife who came to your doorstep for free?" So I got married. The second day after crossing over, holding the little red book in my hand, I still felt a deep sense of unreality. I actually met Hugh in my previous life. That was the 7th year I was locked up by Jacob. I escaped from the villa penniless. On the street, I met Hugh. At that time, he was already a well-known entrepreneur. He was dressed neatly and had an aggressive aura that made people stay away from him. I begged him to save me. Hugh helped me find a place to stay and provided me with a flight to leave. But later, I was discovered by Jacob. Not wanting to recall the past, I looked up and asked Hugh, "Where to go next?" "I'll take you home." I was stunned. "Aren't we married?" "So what?" "So you're not planning on taking me home?" Hugh lives in a residential area that has not yet been developed. The house hasn't been topped off yet. All the people coming and going inside are construction workers. I used to move bricks here and have some connections with the contractor. I'll just stay here until the delivery, and I don't have to pay rent. Perhaps seeing the confusion in my eyes, Hugh took the initiative to explain. The house is in original industrial style. There was nothing inside except a bed. There's not even a flush toilet in the bathroom. And there's only a faucet in the shower area. Hugh looked at me. "Regret it. It's not too late to run now." "No regrets." I put my luggage next to me and said, "We'll sleep here together tonight. The bed is a little small." Hugh narrowed his eyes and replied, "That's enough." At night, I lay on Hugh's cot. The man casually spread out 2 newspapers and lay on the ground. There were no curtains in the room, and bright moonlight could be seen through the glass. "Hugh, are you asleep?" I was worried that I would catch a cold sleeping on the floor. So I moved to the side of the camp bed and asked, "Do you want to sleep up here? The bed is small, but it should be okay if you squeeze in." After a few seconds, Hugh replied, "I'll be there. And you can forget about sleeping." I clenched the quilt in my hands. "I don't mind." As soon as he finished speaking, Hugh turned over and pounced on me like a beast that had received permission. I didn't react for a moment and subconsciously turned my head away. The weight on my body was relieved, and through the moonlight, I saw a hint of sarcasm on Hugh's face. "Don't say one thing and mean another if you can't do it. I'm an honest person and I tend to take people seriously." After saying that, he lay down on the newspaper again. Seeing his intention, I grabbed the man by the hem of his shirt. Her fingers followed the gap and touched his body. Hugh shuddered all over and looked at me with a hint of obscurity in his eyes. I bit my lip and said, "I really would." Afraid that he would disagree, she fearlessly scratched inside twice. Hugh's eyes darkened. "Now, you have no chance." Different from the muscles Jacob had specially developed in the gym, Hugh works all year round and has a naturally tanned complexion. The abdominal muscles are firm and the whole body is full of strength. Finally, I couldn't bear it anymore and he stopped crying until I was shaking. He kissed my tears away roughly and said, "You are so delicate." The tone was filled with dissatisfaction. I was already in severe pain all over. And not only did he not comfort me, he also scolded me for no reason. I was unhappy too, and turned away, not wanting to look at him. The man ignored me and I didn't know where he went after getting out of bed. The more I thought about it while holding the quilt, the more aggrieved I felt. In my previous life, Jacob kept me as a canary for 10 years. Only until death did I finally feel free. I thought it was God's mercy that gave me a chance to start over. Unexpectedly, Hugh seemed like a different person. As I was crying, suddenly a hot towel covered my face. Hugh came back at some point with a basin and a hot towel in his hand. Crying, I denied it. No. Hugh wiped my face roughly, then turned his head and wrung out the towel. What are you doing? There's no hot water in the house, so I can't take a shower. Just wipe it and make yourself comfortable. My body is really sticky. I didn't care about being angry, and I tried to grab the towel with a red face. I can do it myself. Stay. Hugh ignored my actions, directly lifted the quilt and put a hot towel on me. After a moment, I heard Hugh's voice. Don't be angry. I'll be gentler next time. Okay. The voice was somewhat awkward. The temperature on my face gradually rose, and the corners of my mouth curled up, covered his face with a quilt. When I woke up the next day, Hugh was already dressed. There were 2 buns on the low table. I don't know when the man went to buy it. The hot water is ready. I'll take you to work after you wash up. No, I can go by myself. Hugh looked at me and said, there are a lot of workers here. It's not safe for you. A little girl. Then he added, call me after get off work tonight and I'll pick you up. I finished washing up slowly before I noticed the bank card on the table. I gave it to Hugh when I proposed to him yesterday. Card. Don't forget it. Hugh glanced at it and said, take it yourself. I wouldn't use a woman's money. Liar. He is obviously so poor. Hugh refused and I didn't argue. I thought that maybe I could use the savings in the card to buy a house first. If Hugh won't, at least change the bed. Although I don't have the golden house, like in my previous life. Looking at Hugh, I feel inexplicably at ease. This good mood lasted until I got to work. As soon as I entered the office, Juliet came over to me mysteriously. Laura, I have good news for you. She lowered her voice and said, my cousin has taken a fancy to you. She pulled me aside mysteriously and said, my cousin is not an ordinary person. He is very handsome, has a good personality, graduated from Cambridge, and his father is the richest man. He has never been interested in many rich girls who approached him. Yesterday, he suddenly came to me and asked me to set you up on a blind date. Juliet's eyes sparkled. Sister, your good day has come. Graduated from Cambridge. My father is the richest man. A name suddenly popped into my mind. His face turned pale. I controlled my expression and declined in a calm tone. Maybe I have to apologize to your cousin. I don't have this blessing. I'm married. Juliet didn't believe it. We've been colleagues for a year and you don't even have a partner. How come you're suddenly married? Really? We've got the marriage certificate, but we haven't had the wedding yet. I'll send you invitations when the time comes. I smiled and said, I have 2 more classes soon, so I'll go to the classroom first. After saying that, I left quickly. It wasn't until I walked out the door that I felt like I had lost all my strength. Jacob. He clearly didn't appear at this time in his previous life. Why so long in advance? Also, how did he know that Juliet and I taught in a primary school? Cold hands and feet. I comforted myself that I was already married in this life and I already had Hugh. I absolutely won't make the same mistake again. Jacob's early appearance really affected my mood. I was absent-minded all day. My right eyelid was twitching. It feels like something is always going to happen. Sure enough, when I just walked out of the school gate after get off work, I saw a black car parked at the door. The car logo is flashy. Seeing me, the man in the car came out with a bouquet of roses in his hand. Miss Laura. He stopped me and introduced himself with a smile. Excuse me, I'm Jacob, Juliet's cousin. The outside was filled with students returning from school and parents picking up their children. Jacob's bouquet of roses is eye-catching and high-profile. Someone recognized me and started to lead the applause. He urged me to agree to him. I blanched. What do you want to do? Don't be nervous. I just want to get to know you. Jacob's lips curled slightly. I saw you by chance when I was waiting for Juliet before, and I had a special liking for you. I came here uninvited today. Don't feel pressured. Just think of it as making friends. Even though Jacob pretended to be very convincing, I still felt the madness in his eyes. When I felt helpless, I suddenly saw Hugh in the corner. He was sitting astride a broken motorcycle, a cigarette in his mouth, glancing at me, acting as if it's none of his business, like a drowning man finally spotting a piece of driftwood. I rushed straight towards it. The familiar smell of motor oil on Hugh helped me regain my composure. I turned to Jacob and said, I explained to Juliet earlier that I'm married. Jacob obviously didn't expect me to be married. The smile on his face froze. His gaze drifted to Hugh, and hatred flashed in his eyes. Although he covered it up quickly, I caught it sharply. Just hate. This was clearly the first time he had met Hugh. Why is there hatred? Jacob quickly covered up his expression and adjusted his mood. I was abrupt and didn't know Miss Laura's personal situation in advance. Since you bought the flowers, I won't take them back. I'll just wish you a happy wedding. Then he held it out to me and said, giving flowers to beautiful women. I think your husband doesn't mind. Before I could say anything, Hugh suddenly laughed. Who said I don't mind? He looked at Jacob. I am a petty person. I can't bear to see such a beautiful wife of mine accepting other people's things. After saying that, Hugh put a small pink helmet on my head. Put it on. I looked at the brand new helmet and my mood inexplicably improved. I couldn't help but ask, did you buy it especially for me? I found it from the garbage dump. I grinned. Can you pick up a blue one next time? I like blue. Hugh raised his eyebrows and made a move to take the helmet away. I hurriedly put it on tightly and tapped my head with my fingers twice. Does it look good? There was a hint of smile in Hugh's eyes, and he raised his hand to pull down the goggles in front of his helmet. Then he said, fool. When I looked back, Jacob was gone. After what happened today, everyone knows that my husband is a car repair shop worker. During the break, I heard several teachers gathered together to discuss. So what if she's good looking? She still found a husband like that. You didn't see it. His motorcycle was broken, and it made the same noise as a tractor. Then everyone laughed. Seeing me coming in, someone deliberately asked, Laura, where does your husband get his car repaired? My husband just bought a Mercedes-Benz, and I will go to him after the maintenance to take care of his business. Okay, I'll send you the address later. Juliet couldn't stand it anymore and dragged me out of the office. Are you stupid? People are bullying you and you don't even talk back. You said you are good-looking and have a decent job. So why did you find one? Juliet paused, then spoke. I'm being frank. So don't be offended. You just graduated and you've been deceived. You always think that love can pay off more than bread. But you'll regret it in the future. Seriously, you should consider my cousin. He said he doesn't mind you getting married again. Juliet, your bag is very pretty. I interrupted Juliet and looked at the Hermes on her desk. New. Juliet paused and blushed. Yeah, Juliet is a working-class person, and it is clear who gave her the bag and why. I didn't expose her. My husband and I are fine. How we live is our business. Don't talk about him anymore. I don't like to hear it. After work that day, Hugh didn't drive his motorcycle. Where's your car? Sold it. Hugh didn't explain anymore, and just curled his lips and said, let's go. Hugh pulled me forward, but in a different direction than usual. I had no idea what Hugh was up to, so I walked about a few hundred meters and stopped in a community near my school. 3rd floor. Let's go up and take a look. I had a vague guess in my mind, but I couldn't believe it. I walked slowly to the 3rd floor and saw the door of the middle unit was wide open. Pushing the door open, I saw a small 2-bedroom apartment. The house is not big, but the decoration is very warm. The curtains were the color of the sky, and one edge was slightly lifted by the wind. The setting sun shone through the window, filling the whole room with golden light. He also remembered that I liked the color blue. I can't describe the feeling. In my 2 lifetimes, I have lived in luxurious villas and in shabby, unfinished houses, but only at this moment, my heart seems to be filled with joy. You sold your motorcycle and rented this house. The area around the school is a school district house. Although the houses are old, the prices are not low. I'm afraid US money is not enough to pay the deposit and 3/10 of the rent. Hugh didn't mention the motorcycle. He just said, this place is close to your school. It's convenient for commuting. Besides, there's no hot water over there. You're too delicate to stand it. Before I could finish my words, I turned around and hugged Hugh's waist. Hugh was stunned by my sudden throwing himself into my arms. He was stunned for a moment, then put his arms around my back from behind. Okay, now is not the time for you to cry. Cry to me tonight. Okay, not serious. Until the evening. Hugh succeeded in making me cry. The man hugged me and kissed the corner of my mouth with a satisfied look on his face. My wife is right. Double beds are indeed more comfortable than single beds. It's too late to move in. When did I say that? I endured it again and again and didn't kick this guy out. The next weekend, Hugh and I made an appointment to go to the unfinished house to pick up the previous things. By the afternoon, Hugh still hadn't come home. I may not have time today. Something happened at the factory. Hugh called me halfway through. I didn't think much about it. Then I'll go by myself. Actually, there isn't much stuff. Just a suitcase. There was a lot of noise on Hugh's end, and I didn't hear anything from him. So I hung up. Hugh didn't allow me to go there alone before. Mainly because there were too many workers and Hugh always felt unsafe. But now it's broad daylight. So it doesn't matter if you take something. Unexpectedly, as soon as I entered the room, 3 or 4 workers followed me in. Does the girl live here alone? My heart trembled. Who are you? Get out. We are working here. How can we get out? The leader of the group laughed out loud. I've seen you and a guy here for a long time. You two are having a lot of fun. Do you want to play with your brother too? The room was so empty that I couldn't even find the tools to protect myself. I gritted my teeth, turned around and ran outside. The man reacted quickly, grabbing me by the hair and throwing me to the ground. You have a nice figure, little girl. I've been craving you for a long time. I've been waiting for today. As he spoke, he pressed down. I struggled desperately and shouted wildly. Just when the other person's hand was about to touch my clothes, the door was suddenly kicked open. Immediately the person on top of me was knocked to the ground. Seeing this, the other 2 workers wanted to help. I'm the developer here. Are you sure you want to fight me? The 3 of them looked at each other, as if evaluating the truth of this statement. After a moment, they ran off swearing. Jacob took off his suit jacket and covered me with it. He said to the assistant standing next to him, "Find the person out. You decide what to do." The assistant nodded and turned to leave. Jacob then lowered his head. Do you still remember me? The hands holding the clothes turned blue. I don't remember. After returning the clothes to him, I picked up my suitcase and said, "Thank you for your help today." I walked away from him, and Jacob suddenly grabbed my wrist. You seem to be afraid of me. We are not familiar with each other. Why should I be afraid of you? That's right. Jacob let go of me. Why are you here? If I remember correctly, this building is not yet completed. It's none of your business. Yes, but I developed this place. Jacob stared at me. Illegal residence. What do you say I sue Hugh for that? What do you want to do? I want you. Jacob did not hide his purpose at all. Laura, I told you from the beginning. I want you. I also told you that I'm married. That's none of my business. I pursed my lips, and he bent down to look me in the eye. That man can't give you the life you want. You, a pearl, shouldn't be covered in dust in his hands. You can choose whether to let your man go to jail or live a life of luxury with me. I clutched my suitcase and headed out the door. This time, Jacob didn't stop me, until we left the community. I realized that I couldn't stop shaking all over. 3 workers followed me in, and Jacob just happened to be the hero who saved the girl. I don't believe this is a coincidence at all. Live a new life. Jacob is still the same. Whatever he wants, he will do whatever it takes to get it. I called Hugh a few more times, but no one answered. It wasn't until it was getting dark that I felt something was wrong. Hugh has never come home so late since he got married. I ran straight to the factory where he worked. It's a mess. Stopping the uncle who was cleaning the room. Do you know where Hugh is? Hugh. He went to the hospital. I was confused. How could I go to the hospital for no reason? The uncle shook his head. What a sin. I encountered unreasonable bandits. By the time I got the address and rushed to the hospital, Hugh had already been pushed out of the clinic. The man had 2 bloody marks on his face and his right arm was fixed with plaster. Red spots can be seen on the muddy clothes. I couldn't hold back my tears instantly. Hugh, why are you here? He came over and wiped my face with his other hand. Okay, I'm not dead yet. Why are you crying? It's such a time and you're still saying this. I was a little annoyed and was about to speak when I suddenly heard a voice. Fuck. Hugh, my sister-in-law is so pretty. She looks like a fairy. Then he murmured, no wonder you don't want to play with us at night. If I had such a beautiful wife, I wouldn't come out either. It was then that I noticed that there was a boy standing behind Hugh. He was not very old and just stared at me. His eyes are clear and it's hard to hate him. I was a little embarrassed by the straightforward compliment, but Hugh smiled in a good mood and said, stay away from my wife. I felt relieved after asking the doctor and he told me that except for a minor fracture on my right hand, The rest of my injuries were just skin injuries. How did you get hurt like this? Before Hugh could say anything, the boy cursed him first. Today I met an unreasonable grandson. There was nothing wrong with his car, but he insisted that Hugh had damaged his car and asked us to pay for it. Of course we disagreed. So he directly found a group of people to smash the store. Didn't you call the police? What's the use? He looks impressive. His license plate has 5/8. How can someone without power and influence afford such a license plate? 5/8. I suddenly remembered something. What car? Black Hummer. The kid was still sighing. What will we do in the future after getting into trouble with this guy? Hugh, do you think the boss will investigate this matter? I didn't hear anything else that was said afterwards. All I felt was darkness before my eyes. It's Jacob again. Suddenly, a hand grabbed my cheek. I cried out in pain and met Hugh's teasing eyes. I looked at him with a nonchalant look, feeling a little strange. Aren't you worried? What are you worried about? Well, what happened next? Hugh sneered. At worst, I can just quit. What can they do to me? Then he raised the corner of his mouth and said, besides, I still have my wife to support me. 3,000 a month. I hand over my salary. Okay. Mentioned the time when I proposed to her. My face turned red again. He said, softly, I'll give you all my money. Hugh flicked my forehead with his finger and said, fool. Hugh was fired. I heard the owner of the repair shop called him and said, I am sorry for this matter, but the other party is too powerful. There is nothing I can do. Hugh was smoking a cigarette, his expression unrecognizable. After the call ended, Hugh called me, wife. I thought he was going to tell me that he was fired. Just as I was thinking about how to comfort him, I heard him say, I feel like I'm smelly. Help me take a bath. Looking up, Hugh didn't look disappointed at all. And give him a bath. I blushed so much. Why do you think about this all the time? What kind of thing? Hugh raised his eyebrows. My right hand has a cast and can't get wet. I just want you to help me run a bath. Then she leaned close to my ear and said, why? Do you have other ideas? Tell me. Even if I don't want this arm anymore, I will try my best to satisfy you. I was so angry that I forgot about his unemployment and went to the bathroom in a rage. I could also hear his happy laughter in the background. However, while taking a shower, Hugh discovered what happened to me during the day. He gently pinched my neck with his hands and frowned. How did you do that? Only then did I notice that there was a blood stain on my neck. There were also several obvious bruises. It was probably caused by struggling during the day. I hurriedly covered it with my hair. I did it by accident. Hugh sneered. You accidentally pinched your own neck and scratched yourself. I had no choice but to tell the truth. I went to the rough house to get something during the day and was followed by someone. Seeing Hugh's face suddenly darken, I quickly explained. But nothing happened. Someone saved me. Hugh said nothing. We just stayed there. In the small bathroom, the mist faded away and the wind blew on my body, making me feel a little cold. I shuddered. Hugh finally reacted and wrapped me in a bath towel. I tugged at his hand. Are you angry? I shouldn't have let you go alone. There was unconcealable heartache and regret in his eyes. But it was clearly my fault. I couldn't hold it in any longer and blurted out everything I knew. It was all Jacob's fault. He was the one who sent me roses at school. The Hummer was his. And he smashed the store on purpose to cause trouble for you. He also hired the workers, who were squatting there waiting to save me. He also knew we lived over there. And he said he was going to sue you. I don't know why he is so mean to keep targeting me. I'm sorry. It's all my fault. If it weren't for me, I couldn't continue speaking and started crying uncontrollably. I want to cry out all the grievances I have suffered in these 2 lives. I don't understand. I never messed with Jacob. Why Jacob just won't let me go. Seeing that I was crying so hard, Hugh wiped my face with a towel and said, why do you cry so hard all the time? Don't you blame me. Why should I blame you? Is it because you are so good-looking and charming that a thief would want to pick you up when you are walking on the street? How come this person? The emotion just now was destroyed by Hugh's 2 words. I sniffed and asked, Hugh, do you regret it? What are you regretting? Marry me. Hugh did not answer but asked, do you regret marrying a mechanic who has nothing and has lost his job now? I shook my head vigorously. My wife doesn't regret it. So why should I regret it? Hugh raised his eyebrows slightly. My wife, the son of the richest man, didn't even like her. But now she likes me. She wants to be with me at the cost of money and people. Why should I feel wronged? This sentence made me want to cry again. In fact, I did cry again. I snuggled in Hugh's arms and said, I love you. Hugh didn't expect me to confess. And he froze. She pressed me hard against her chest, uttered a hoarse, and said, your man is here. After that day, Hugh became very busy. Even though he has lost his job, he still goes out early and comes back late every day. I don't know what to do. But maybe he was also frightened by what happened to Jacob. Although he moved next door to the school, he still insisted on picking me up from get off work every day. When you're in school, just stay with the other teachers and don't run around. Okay. I wanted to laugh a little. I'm not a kindergarten kid. I'm not that fragile. Hugh curled his lips. You are just a kid. However, Hugh has been having more social engagements recently. Sometimes when he was too late, he would ask colleagues he had met in the hospital before to help. I felt embarrassed and said to the boy, it's just a short distance. I can walk by myself. Don't bother me next time. That won't do. The boy grinned. I will complete the task assigned by Hugh. Besides, a fairy like you needs to be protected. Persuading the boy didn't work. So I turned to Hugh and said, if you continue to do this, be careful that people will spread rumors that you are a wife slave. Hugh didn't feel ashamed, and rolled his eyes. I just love my wife. Why should they care? It made me laugh and cry. At work that day, Juliet mysteriously pulled me to a corner and turned on her phone. Is this your husband? I looked over and saw a picture of Hugh drinking with a woman. The woman is gorgeous. In addition to Hugh, there were 4 or 5 other men surrounding the woman. The room was dark and I couldn't see Hugh's expression clearly, but it was indeed him. My sister took this photo at a bar, and I thought this guy looked like him. Juliet looked at me. I heard he was fired from the garage and is now a gangster. Look, he has even fallen to the point of selling his body and drinking with a woman. Is this what you call true love? Be careful and don't get sick. Have you said enough? My face fell. Juliet, you have repeatedly said bad things about my husband, followed him around and took photos, and instigated us to divorce. You know exactly what you are thinking. I am not telling you what Jacob has done for you, but that doesn't mean I don't understand. In the future, please don't come to me alone except for work matters. After saying that, I walked into the office. After a while, Juliet came in. Eyes are red. I vaguely heard a few colleagues comforting her, and they probably said that I was ungrateful. In the evening, Hugh got home very late. Just got back. I sniffed. How much did you drink? Hugh deliberately rubbed my face. Dislike me? Huh. I smiled and dodged. Hugh hugged me and breathed a sigh of relief. Thank you for your hard work during this period. I hugged Hugh back and shook my head. The next morning, I smelled perfume on Hugh's shirt. There is a faint lipstick mark on the cuff. I thought of the photos Juliet showed me, and I felt sad. If I could, I'd rather Hugh was just a mechanic. The days passed one by one, but I didn't expect that one day I would actually run into Hugh with a woman. That day I went out shopping with a few teachers, passed by an expensive Western restaurant. Suddenly, a teacher tugged at my bag and asked uncertainly, Laura, does that person look a bit like your husband? I looked over and saw the man sitting by the window. Opposite is a woman with exquisite makeup. My heart sank. It's not that they look alike. They are exactly the same. My face looked a little ugly, and my colleague probably noticed my abnormality and laughed dryly. It should be business. I think the communication between them is quite normal. I said, not wanting to watch anymore. Let's go. As soon as I turned around, my colleague suddenly screamed and grabbed me. Laura, your husband. My heart tightened, and I heard her say, beat that woman. Turning back quickly, I saw that the table, which was originally intact, was kicked over by Hugh. He looked down at the pale woman with a sneer on his face. I hurried over and heard Hugh say, with your looks, you're still thinking about me. What kind of person are you? Then he walked out majestically and made direct eye contact with me. The man who was as proud as a little lion just now didn't expect me to appear and wilted instantly. Daughter-in-law. Then he frowned and started to explain. I don't hit women. This was just carelessness. My legs are long, and they hit the table and fell over. I burst out laughing. I don't blame you. Hugh breathed a sigh of relief, raised his lips and took my hand. Then let's go home. It was not until I got home that I realized that the person Hugh had been dealing with these days was actually Jacob's sister. The sales job was just a cover to get in touch with his sister. Hugh sneered. Lisa is a person who likes to have fun. She especially likes young men and has done a lot of ridiculous things in private. During this period, I got in touch with her and got a secret line over there. I got a lot of information and sold it all to their rival company. I think it will be in the newspaper tomorrow. Although it's not a big deal, it's enough to mess up Lisa's family for a while. Lisa's family is busy cleaning up their mess, so Jacob shouldn't have the time to bother you. You did all this just to keep Jacob from paying attention to me. I might go to City A in a few days. I won't feel comfortable if I don't block Jacob. When I heard Hugh was leaving, I immediately felt a little reluctant. Why did you go out so suddenly? How long will you be gone? About a week or so. If this trip goes well, we may have to be on the road more often in the future. So, actually Hugh is really busy all the time. It's a transportation company. When I was repairing cars, I got to know some connections and hired a few trucks to run some orders. In the early days, I didn't know anything and had to do everything myself. He rubbed my head vigorously and said, "Wait for me to come back." The day Hugh left, I still put the bank card in his pocket. Inside is the 70,000 yuan I saved over the years. It's all my belongings. I left a note. Always bring money when you're out. The password is our birthday. Come back safely. After Hugh went on a business trip, Lisa's matter really made the headlines. It was deliberately manipulated and involved other things, which became a big scandal among the wealthy and powerful and sparked heated discussions among the public. Jacob was too exhausted to appear again. My life became easier too. At the end of the semester, the selection of outstanding teachers begins. There is only one place available per school, based on preliminary research. The school originally planned to enroll me. On the day the results were announced, Juliet was on the list. The school leaders were also in a difficult position and talked to me, saying that it was someone appointed by the higher-ups. Everyone knows the reason behind this. Coming out of the principal's office, I saw Juliet. Since the photo incident, we have had very little contact. Juliet hummed softly beside me and walked over without saying anything. Originally, this incident did not cause any ripples in my heart, but when I video chatted with Hugh at night, I couldn't help feeling aggrieved. I pursed my lips and controlled myself from crying. Hugh really noticed that something was wrong with me. What's wrong? I didn't want him to worry. I just watched a movie and felt really upset. Hugh laughed. Fool. After hanging up the phone, I slapped my face hard. I laugh at myself for going backwards as I grow older. In my previous life, my father was wrongfully imprisoned and my mother became seriously ill, but I held on and didn't shed a single tear. I ended up crying in front of Hugh over such a small thing. In the early morning, I had just fallen asleep when I suddenly heard the sound of the door locking. My heart tightened. I was worried that Jacob was going to cause trouble, so I picked up a baseball bat for self-defense and stood behind the door, waiting. The next second, the door opened. I swung the bat. The other party seemed to be prepared and took it with his backhand. Then I heard a familiar teasing. Why? You have a wild man outside. Are you planning to murder your husband? I was surprised. Hubby, why are you back? When your wife is in a bad mood, your husband should stay at home with her. How do you know I'm in a bad mood? I'm not stupid. How can your acting skills fool me? The golden beans that were held back with great difficulty fell out again. Hugh sighed. Little crybaby. Hugh only came back for one night and left early the next morning by high-speed train. I couldn't bear to leave, so he kissed my forehead and said, "The company has been registered in City A some time ago. Come and see me during the summer vacation." I nodded vigorously and began to count the days on my fingers. Another half-month passed. School is out for the holidays. I couldn't wait and bought a ticket to City A. It wasn't until Hugh drove me to his company that I realized it was different from what I understood. Originally I thought that Hugh was just doing ordinary transportation, chartering a few trucks to transport goods. When I actually saw it, I found out that it was actually a logistics company integrating e-commerce, transportation and express delivery services. The scale is not large yet, but it has already taken over a lot of business. I was so shocked that I couldn't speak. Why did you think of doing this? I remember that in my last life, Hugh didn't come to City A. He was just an ordinary mechanic. But during his time he was appreciated by his boss of a foreign company and switched to a multinational automobile group. Later, he jumped out to lead his own R&D team, specializing in chip development, earned the first pot of gold. Gradually, the automotive chip business is growing bigger and bigger, and now, Hugh's destiny has changed because of me. He left the repair shop early and didn't have a chance to meet the boss. We even came to City A and started doing logistics. The e-commerce industry in City A has been developing very fast in recent years, and logistics is a gap. I happen to know a little about cars, so I put the money I made from car sales into it and wanted to give it a try. What Hugh didn't say was that we lived in Bin City before. However, the current leading enterprise is still the group headed by Lisa's family. One can imagine the resistance Hugh would face if he wanted to start a business there. He had to go out for my sake. On the one hand, I felt heartbroken, but on the other hand, I couldn't help but admire his foresight, because I believe that the logistics company founded by Hugh will become a chain and an indispensable existence in City A's e-commerce field. Hugh rented the apartment in advance. It's a small 2-bedroom apartment. It's about the same size as our house in Bin City, but it's 3 times more expensive. The prices here are high, and I've left all my money in the company, Hugh said with a rare shyness. I touched the money in your card. It was originally yours. Hugh kissed the corner of my mouth and said, in the future, I will give you all my salary. The company has already been registered, so naturally we cannot run back and forth for a long time. I don't have much good feelings towards City B. After discussing with Hugh, I decided to resign and work in City A. I stayed there until school started, and then went back to school to complete the resignation procedures. At that time, Hugh's logistics company had already begun to take shape, and Hugh, as an entrepreneurial pioneer, was invited to accept several interviews. The colleague who had said her husband bought a Mercedes and asked Hugh to take care of it saw me again and came over to say hello. We were watching TV a few days ago and saw your husband. I have long said that Hugh is a potential stock. You see, beautiful women think alike. Now he has made it. A colleague echoed. Laura has a keen eye. If there are any outstanding young people, please introduce them to us. I glanced at the people around me. These are the same people who talked about Hugh behind his back that year. I didn't want to have too much interaction with them, so I just smiled and agreed with a few words. Laura. As I was about to leave the school gate, I suddenly heard someone calling me. It's Juliet. She was wearing a black uniform skirt and walked towards me quickly. His tone was a little stiff, and he said, before, I was greedy for some small gains and brought you and my cousin together. I owe you an apology. I pursed my lips and said, no need to apologize to me, etc. Juliet grabbed my hand and said, Laura, I'm sorry. I was forced to do this too. After hearing this, I lost consciousness. When I woke up, I was already lying in bed. The mattress is soft. The room was empty, with roses blooming outside the floor-to-ceiling windows. This is the villa where I have lived for 10 years. My brain was confused for a moment and I couldn't tell the difference between these two lives. Could it be that I am not dead? I am still in the villa. Is everything just a dream? Just as I was daydreaming, the door of the room was pushed open. Jacob walked in. Woke up. I subconsciously tried to get up, but found that my whole body was limp and I couldn't use any strength. Stop struggling. You can't move. I thought of Juliet before she fell into a coma. It's you, Jacob. Do you know that it is illegal to restrict others' freedom? When I finished speaking, Jacob sounded like he was joking. Suddenly laughed. Restricting your freedom. Laura, you were originally mine. He walked towards me, with paranoid madness in his eyes. You don't know. We have always been a couple. Living here. At this moment I finally knew. Why can't I get rid of Jacob despite my careful avoidance? It turns out that he was also reborn. I calmed down completely. We were originally a couple. Jacob, every day I spend with you is like a year. A life worse than death. If you hadn't threatened me with your parents, there's no way I would live here with you. Hearing what I said, he was shocked. You. Yes. I have memories from before. I looked at Jacob and said, so in this life, I will never give you any chance to hurt me again. How could I bear to hurt you? No. Laura, you love me. We have been together for 10 years. It's my fault. I shouldn't have left you alone in the villa. Otherwise you wouldn't. He didn't say anything else. But I know what he meant was that otherwise I wouldn't have died. I wanted to laugh when I heard this. Jacob, don't you understand? Why did I stay with you after my parents passed away? Because I wanted to collect evidence and avenge my parents. I wanted to see you go to jail with my own eyes. Otherwise, how could I be willing to do that? You want to know why your company secrets were leaked? And why the police found out about all the dirty things you thought were perfect? It's all because of me. My goal is to make you pay with blood. That's enough. Not enough. I decided to get it all out at once. I was the one who set the fire after you went to prison. I just wanted you to lose everything, including those he touched. I'm already dirty. Why? Why do I love you so much? In my previous life, I rejected Jacob's pursuit. He tricked my dad into borrowing a loan shark, and then forced me to be with him. My dad didn't want me to be wronged, so he turned himself in. My mother was so angry that she suffered from mental illness and poor health. So Jacob cut off her medical resources and asked me to move into the villa. I looked at Jacob and sneered. Love. You are not qualified to talk about this word. After saying that, I stood up from the bed and moved the restraints. Jacob was confused. Why are you? How can I move? I looked at him expressionlessly. In my last life, you drugged me and made me lose my virginity to you. How could I make the same mistake twice? As I said this, I gestured outside. The hidden police broke in. Jacob was completely crazy. He was still saying to me, Laura, let's forget everything and start over. I don't care what you did. I forgive you. I saw Hugh slowly appear in the doorway. I ran over quickly. As I passed Jacob, I whispered, but I don't forgive you. Jacob was taken away. I felt like I had lost all my strength and collapsed in Hugh's arms. Honey, don't you have anything to ask me? Hugh shook his head. It's all in the past. Yes, it's all over. All the right and wrong have nothing to do with me. From then on I was just Hugh's wife. When you have time, please accompany me to visit my parents. Hugh curled his lips and replied, okay. From the first day of my rebirth, I found an excuse to get my parents to leave City B. Returned to my hometown in the countryside. Retired early. Life is pretty comfortable. They didn't know about my marriage to Hugh, and I didn't dare tell them. During the Chinese New Year, Hugh brought a lot of New Year's goods to my house to wish me a happy new year and to propose marriage. In March of the same year, we finally had our wedding. I have lived 2 lifetimes, but this is the first time I wear a wedding dress. Hugh lost both his parents and has been an orphan since childhood. Only my side came from both sides of the family. The man bowed and offered me tea. When he called out, Dad, Mom, I clearly saw tears in the corners of his eyes. Somehow, I suddenly thought of my previous life. When I died, Hugh was nearly 40 and alone. I've never heard any gossip about him. Those who are pure in heart and have few desires seem not to be ordinary people. If you didn't marry me, what kind of wife would you choose? That night, I couldn't help but ask Hugh. I don't know. Hugh thought for a moment. I don't think I'll look for one. I'm used to being alone. The sneer made my face turn red. So I boldly asked, so do you agree? Hearing this, Hugh seemed to be recalling something, thinking of something. He curled the corners of his lips. He said, at the time I thought it would be nice to have one more person. And she's such a beautiful daughter-in-law. My eyes widened. So, you are attracted by her beauty? Probably not. After all, you took the bank card. Hugh suppressed his laughter. I saw the money and was tempted. Seeing me pouting, Hugh kissed my forehead and said, thank you, my wife, for giving me a home. No, it should be me. Thanks, Hugh. Living 2 lives again allowed me to truly meet love. End of the full text.